The project, increasing the use of the voluntary guidelines among CSOs and grassroots organizations, started in September 2014 thanks to a contribution made by the Kingdom of Belgium. Its first phase, which ended in December 2015, involved 7 countries: Guatemala, South Africa, Malawi, Myanmar, Niger, Senegal, and Nepal. In these countries, between 60 and 100 people were trained on the voluntary guidelines, and up to 2,500 people per country have since been sensitized on the voluntary guidelines through information campaigns, with meetings, radio programs, videos, and newsletters. FAO has worked together with the International Planning Committee for Food Sovereignty, the biggest international alliance of small-scale food producers, to develop a learning framework and working methodology, with support from FIAN International, and established linkages with national organizations at grassroots level. Towards the end of the first phase of the project, a lessons learned stocktaking exercise was organized in order to share the experiences of the 7 countries and identify the main lessons learned and best practices. This key knowledge will now feed into the second phase of the project, which aims at transforming the material developed during the first phase into a public good.
We are the ones who are in direct contact with the people, so it's easier to relate with them and then implement this and then try to come up with solutions.
Now in the country, it is a transitional period of time. The law reform process is going on. And also the civil society and the grassroots level are facing with the land conflict situation in the country. So it is really important to take parts of to bring the advisors on the policy changing process, and on the other hand, the same with they can use as a voluntary guideline.
Que las organizaciones de la sociedad civil podemos hacer uso de las directrices de la tenencia de la tierra, porque traemos nuestras luchas en proceso y para las que no las conocen aún, también se pueden implicar porque hace esfuerzos específicos en la tenencia de la tierra.
Dans le cadre de l'atelier bilan des projets qui ont été mis en œuvre dans 7 pays, dont le Sénégal, et la rencontre est d'une importance capitale pour nous parce qu'elle nous permet d'échanger les bonnes pratiques.
They did this in a very interesting way, connecting local cases to the global level. So they developed concrete case studies on problems or situations of their reality and linked this with the Tenure guidelines. We found really interesting results. For instance, they are mentioning that they increased their knowledge regarding the national normative frameworks, laws, policies, and the linkage with the Tenure guidelines. They also mentioned that they increased their capacity to dialogue with different actors, as government, parliamentarians, judges, local authorities, and they spread their networking.
There was a case whereby a traditional authority, he's a senior chief, he got the information, the VGGT, he was exposed to that, and then he went back to his area. His predecessor had signed a contract with an investor, but they hadn't followed the right procedures. They did not consult with the people did not know anything. So when he heard of this and the procedures, he went back to the investors and wrote off the letter of agreement. So they had to start all over again, so that now the people and consulted. So that was a very good outcome for us.
They not just trained their organizations and partner organizations, but many times they also trained parliamentarians, judges, local authorities, government officials. So it was a really interesting way that they found to implement, and this is a very good example on how civil society organizations can really help FAO to spread the message and the use of the Tenure guidelines at grassroots communities.
One of the outcomes is like local community, really like small-scale farmers. They have a chance to participate in the workshop. That is really great. And then to bring their advisors, they have an interest on the VGGT. This workshop is just started, like starting point, entry point for them.
What we're trying to do in the countries that we're supporting, many countries across the globe, is to bring people together to have that dialogue, to try and resolve the problems using the voluntary guidelines as their the principles, their guiding principles. With the benefit of the Belgian support that we've received, we are able to capacitate civil society participants to participate in these dialogues in a more meaningful manner.
Oui, la FAO joue un rôle important dans le cadre de la dissémination des directives volontaires.
FAO has a very, I think, has a very important role between the civil society and then government, and then as to play in the engagement to implement the VGGT.
One of the great messages of the voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure is the need to have multi-stakeholder dialogue, to bring together people that are not normally in the same room talking to each other. So we're talking about governments, we're talking about civil society and grassroots people.
Je pense que l'expérience est importante même pour la FAO, parce que à travers les initiatives qui sont développées dans les pays, les difficultés qui ont été rencontrées, mais aussi les stratégies qui ont été développées pour dépasser ces difficultés, la FAO aussi ajuste son intervention et améliore aussi les outils qu'elle a conçus et mis à la disposition des acteurs sur le terrain.
En el caso de Guatemala, hemos sistematizado 8 casos en relación a procesos relacionados con las mujeres, la lucha de las mujeres.
Présentement, il y a un groupe de parlementaires qui ont été déjà formés et avec la société civile, un cadre de concertation est mis en place pour que la prochaine loi qui va être soumise à l'Assemblée nationale puisse être analysée avec l'appui de la société civile à la lumière des directives volontaires.